probably the biggest question in trading, especially longer term trades, is how long do you hold? How long is it okay to hold? Where is the validity of the hold, etc.? And that validity question is a big one for us, because that validity question is where the conservative entry zone is for my trades. That validity question is where stop losses, just beyond that is where stop losses are placed. So I think a really good way just to sort of wind down the week is really talk about where I am right now in some of these positions, and namely things like Dow and S&P. We'll take a look at the NASDAQ as well. But take a look here. So we've moved up into a range that I feel is shortable. And this is primarily, and this is something that I will admit myself, is an arbitrary assessment of the importance that I lay on a 34 EMA on the low, on the close, and on the high, right? So I've decided that that 34 number is a big deal to me. Now, I mention that because that doesn't mean the broader markets are observing the same thing. So it's very important that we add another layer of confirmation, or 2 or 22. I think if we can layer basic analysis on top of something that's relatively specialized or arbitrary or subjective, it's key. So 24,000 is going to be a level. That's a psychological level, what I call a tier 1 level. I've got some Darvis levels stacked up in here, right here, that are telling me these are important levels, right? Got another one right in here. So I have a number of levels that are close to these three, but have proof. Here's a prior low, here's a prior low, here's a prior low. This is support, right? Then I've got a 24,000 psych level in here. Again, very, very important to have that confirmation. Now, as long as we stay below, say, this upper Darvis or the 24.2 area, I'm pretty sure that this will be a good short. But I've also got to acknowledge that previous corrections have been violent and have broken the barrier of the wave pretty darn easily. You see that there? So that's where having additional or alternative asset classes makes sense. What do I mean by that? You can short, obviously, the YM or the ES, but you can also have the options on these. And the options have a different set of validity. So let's talk about validity for a second. I'm talking about validity from the aspect of price when it comes to the underlying contract. And that's what, say this area is, the point of validity. Then we can take a look at something like volatility. I'm just going to use a number sign here for the number of points, right? So $, I guess you could use that as, price, right? That's the easiest way to talk about $, right? So what does price tell you? What do points tell you? Like how many points of volatility do I have to anticipate and deal with? And then finally is, well, let's just call this a clock. Finally is time. And that's going to be very pertinent to options trading, the time idea. So those three are my main thresholds. This one is going to apply to the underlying contract, while these two will be applicable to the options positions. Now, you can actually apply volatility to the underlying as well, but time is its own. I think that's going to be exclusively the realm of the options. The time decay, how much time before time decay actually erodes your options position if the market's not moving with you directionally. Heck, even when the market sometimes is moving with you directionally. So the idea of how long will I hold a market starts with how do I determine validity, or my point of validity. Sometimes it could be price. I think that's a really good place to start, probably the most important place to start. Points, volatility, and then time when it comes to specifically options. So if we keep those in mind, and that's where I'll say that I am still short the Dow, I am still short the S&P. We have not broken that price threshold. Same thing with the NASDAQ. Right? I am still short in terms of having really not broken that price threshold. Now, where have we broke the price threshold? we broke it with the Russell. So Russell then says, okay, price threshold broken, underlying futures contract closed. Open options, which are the February 15s that we've been focused on. How much time do I have on those Feb 15 at the monies? Because number one, they're moving directionally, not in favor, and then of course, time is going to continually march on and erode the value from a time decay perspective. So it's really important that we find not only resistance, but then the movement back to the downside, preferably before the 2-week cutoff on these options. So notice on the options, I have a different threshold. The underlying contract, stock, ETF, futures, Forex, right? They have a price threshold. But once you kick it into options, it can be a different conversation altogether. And I think it's really important to understand the thresholds based upon those 3 factors and the different asset class.